Hare Krishna and welcome all of you. Welcome everyone for our weekly discussion on Bhagavad Gita. And we pick up different topics and we try and discuss them with reference from with the help of purports and other purports given by Srila Prabhupada predominantly. We try and understand the topic. So the topic for today's discussion is a very interesting one, and it's a little complex one as well. One of the most complicated or technical part in the Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavad Gita is considered to be chapter 13, which talks about the nature, the enjoyer, and the consciousness. So this comes immediately after chapter 12, which is the 7 to 12 are the verses on Bhagavad Gita chapters which describes pure bhakti yoga, and Krishna speaks about elaborately about himself and declare how path of bhakti is so supreme. And immediately after that, this particular chapter comes, and we will try and see what all it contains and how it progress. What is the progression that Krishna is trying to achieve by in speaking about these topics? Okay, yeah. So so Arjuna said the chapter opens with a question from Arjuna. Arjuna is asking a question that, oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, which is nature, material nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, the knower of the field, and the knowledge and object of knowledge. So in all, he asks to clarify about the concepts, about 6 concepts in totality. And that's this is the verse come in the there's a first verse in the 13th chapter, opening verse, which so this chapter begins by a question from Arjuna. So chapter 12, if you remember, also had begun shuru hua tha with a question from Arjuna, that out of you have already explained me, you showed me the Vishwarup, prior to that you have explained me the Vibhutis, but tell me that amongst the devotee who is trying to worship you with ananya cheta ananya chetaha satatam, without any deviation, constantly satata kirtayanto mam. So all these things devotees are trying to do, but there are other worshippers also who are brahmagya, who are pursuing the Brahman, who wish to merge in the merge of Brahman, who considered their soul will merge in the Brahman, and then will become one with the absolute truth. And what is the position of those people? Now, those people are also performing a lot of austerities. They are doing a lot of work, and what they are doing is also not easy, apparently, at least. So hence, amongst devotees, between comparison and a comparative analysis between devotee and those worshippers whose position is superior, who is better united with you, who is better situated, who is better connected with you, that was the question Arjuna asked at the beginning of chapter 12. And as a result of that, to answer that, Krishna speaks beautiful verses of chapter 12, which we had seen earlier. So I'll not go into that. But this time, a question is completely different. Now, this actually seems unrelated with whatever we have discussed so far in Bhagavad Gita. At least in the middle section of Bhagavad Gita, that is chapter 7 to chapter 12, whatever we discuss there, all this seems to be completely unrelated, completely out of syllable from that perspective. So, but Krishna is there, and Krishna is immediately start answering, and he explains the third and fourth questions. Concepts first, the body. O son of Kunti, his body is called a field. So what is a field? Kshetra. The body is called the field. The one who knows this body is the knower of the field. That is immediately answers in the second second verse. So let's try and understand what is here, what is happening here. So we'll go a little bit in more detail for understanding this particular verse, and hence this becomes the These two verses then becomes the foundation basis which we will be able to understand the rest of the chapter. So as I mentioned earlier, Arjuna is inquiring to clarify certain concepts. Now, during the Vedic time, when the Arjuna and Krishna appeared in Dwapar Yuga 5,000 years ago, people had knowledge. People had a lot of knowledge. A lot of Vedic knowledge was intact, and Arjuna had studied all of that, all of those during his, during the Vanvas, during his visits uh, to the Swarga, and he had met various devotees. He had taken instructions from many devotees. So he knew these concepts exist, and he wanted to understand. Now, one may, one may feel that from Bhakti Yoga, where the last chapter ended with a knowledge, with a call from Krishna that if you have that, the right knowledge has to be pursued, right kind of knowledge has to be pursued. So Arjuna kind of ask that indirectly, what is that right knowledge? And we will get a list of knowledge as explained by Krishna, and Prabhupada has combined those 5 to 6 verses to put together and give one purport for all those 5 6 verses. So so we'll see that as well as we progress in today's discussion. So though there is no direct relationship, but Arjuna is aware of these concepts, and he wished to understand these concepts in more detail from Krishna. It's like two friends are having a conversation, and one of them is super intelligent, super knowledgeable, and they start conversation on particular topic. But since the other person knows, who is asking question, that this man knows a lot more than whatever I have asked him, and hence after concluding that section, they start a slightly different conversation also. And it seems that probably this is how it is progressing. But nevertheless, this conversation is also important. And the first 6 chapter is where which opens by Arjuna's surrender. Pruchami tvam dharma sammudo cheta yat shreyanas syam nishchitam bruhitan me shishyaste aham shadhimatvam prapannan. Where Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna and seeking instructions from him about and asking him about to resolve the confusion between two dharmas. Which two dharmas he was confused about? Whether to perform Kshatriya dharma and go ahead, fight war. Fight war means kill people, and even if those people happen to be his relatives, friends, still he has to do his duty. As a matter of duty, he should fight war, and as he will fight war, he will end up killing all of them. So this is Kshatriya dharma. This was his Kshatriya dharma, and other was Kula dharma. Kula dharma is being elder in a kula or a family, being most powerful warrior in the family. His job was not to kill the less powerful. His job was to less powerful family members. But his job was reverse, actually, to protect the family members. Because he was powerful, his responsibility was more to protect his family members. So having got caught in these two dharmas, Arjuna seek instructions from Krishna, what is supreme, and Krishna introduces him the concept of soul, which is similar to what Arjuna is asking here, where he says that Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the concepts are similar, that the soul and Kshetrajna and the Purusha. Now these are the concepts which we had already discussed. These are similar to the concepts of soul, body, matter and spirit. The differentiation between matter and spirit, that matter is dead matter, and spirit is spirit. Spirit is spiritual, and spirit is eternal. Spirit occupies the material body and makes it move, and the body will have destruction. A spirit cannot be destroyed. Body takes birth, and body has death, unavoidable. but spirit has neither taken birth nor it has death at any time. And the spirit is not, soul is not slain when the body is slain. When the body is burned or body dies in an accident or body is killed, the soul is not, soul is intact. Soul does not get uh, doesn't get anything scratch also, it doesn't get, so it moves on to another body. Just like yesterday evening's garments, I kept aside and I won accepted new garments. In the similar way, soul accept new body and starts his journey from wherever he had left off in his previous birth. And again begins the activities, taking birth, growing up, reproduces things, then become old, and again give up body and accept new body, and then the cycle continues. So so this is, but this knowledge of karma, so this knowledge was bewildering to Arjuna. So at the beginning of third chapter, Arjuna is asking, then if I have nothing to, if I'm spiritual and this world is material, which means I have nothing to do with this world, then should I, and if I do something in this world, I will be entangled, because whatever I will do, it will cause me bondage, it will cause me reaction, it will give me fruits, whether good, bad, or ugly. So if I, now having known that I'm spiritual, but I have this material body, what should I do? Should I give up this world? And this world is mithya, Jagat mithya. And Jagat mithya is a concept. And that's, so a lot of people have this conception that everything is mithya. Your body is a mithya, your spirit soul. So you have got nothing to do with the body. So starve your body. Your family members makes no sense, because they were not your family members in last birth. They will not come with you in the next birth. So they just happen to have come together. So ignore them, neglect them. Now that is, these are also concepts. They are practiced like that. So food, palatable, nice palatable food, you should not eat, because if you eat, it will give you karma. This is not karma free food. Even if you wish to enjoy some food stuff, that is also giving you karma. Now the facility will be available to people, different people, according to their past karma. But as you cultivate desires, में ये खाना है, वो खाना है, कल वहां जाके वो खाना है, ये होटल में ये अच्छा मिलता है, यहाँ आएंगे तो ये तो खाना ही पड़ता है, मतलब दिस इज समथिंग अनअवॉइडेबल, ये तो खाएंगे ही, और वहां जाके वो खाएंगे, मतलब all these plans for eating. Now these plans for eating actually are giving us karmic reactions. And this mentality to enjoy food, mentality to enjoy anything gives us karma. Karma means gives us a fruit for which we have to suffer or enjoy. So when we develop these desires to enjoy, either we are burning past karma and simultaneously we are incurring fresh karma. Why we burn? We may have 100 desires, but what we get is according to our past karma, and hence we reduce those fixed deposit balances as and when we consume our as and when we perform our activity for our enjoyment. But and we have to whenever we act in that consciousness, we get small quantities of fresh karma, for which we have to come back. Because if you eat food without offering it to Krishna, Krishna says you eat sin only. So every time we would have eaten without offering, we would have produced some sinful actions, for reactions for us to suffer in the future. So the concepts are these concepts were explained. So which means then Arjuna asked a question, that means any action if I do will give me fruit, and my objective is not to have produced fruit. So should I renounce? Now Arjuna, then Krishna explains that renunciation is not the solution. So action without kshanabhar bhi you cannot survive without performing action. So you must act, having knowledge that you are spiritual, you are eternal, you are you cannot die, and all that is fine. But while you are acting in this world, while you exist in this world, you have to act. And those actions need to be performed. Yajnarthat karmanyo anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana, that for the satisfaction of Vishnu. So when you act for the satisfaction of Vishnu, you don't incur sin. That's the simple fundamentally principle that was given. So which means food also should be offered to Vishnu, which means we should only eat those kind of food stuff which are offerable to Vishnu, which means further that we should not eat the meat, we should not eat eggs, we should not eat food with onion garlic, only should cook food with sattvic ingredients and offer it to Krishna actually, and then eat. And that's karma free food. So this journey, the entire journey of from first chapter to sixth chapter, where Krishna subsequently also explains dhyana yoga, is lead a person from karma to bhakti. And it culminates when the sixth chapter, last verse, 47th verse, Krishna says that yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana श्रद्धावान भजते यो माम समय युक्तो तमोमतः. So जो श्रद्धा से मेरा भजन करते हैं, उपासना करते हैं, that yogi is perfect. Now dhyana yoga didn't had those elements where one has to perform bhakti, but dhyana yoga से भी better है bhakti yoga, and that's what Krishna concludes. So karma yoga से better है dhyana yoga, and उससे better है bhakti yoga. So this is the progression that we have seen. Now chapter 7 to chapter 12, where Krishna speaks the opening verse of chapter 7, where he says that in order to perform bhakti, that 47th verse of 6th chapter, where Krishna had said that yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana श्रद्धावान भजते यो माम, जो मुझे श्रद्धा से भजन करते हैं. Now श्रद्धा से भजन करने के लिए one has to get when there should be an object of worship, and Krishna says I am that object of worship, and you get attached to me. Maya sakta manapartha, Maya sakta manapartha, learn about me, know about me, and perform devotional service to me of hearing and chanting without any doubt. So when you learn about me, you become free from doubt. All your doubts you should ask devotees and get those clarified. And when you are free from doubt, that should help you perform your devotional service in a wholehearted way. So devotional service has to be performed. The hearing and chanting has to be performed even when we have doubts. It is not that when we are free from doubt, we then only we start. So we should start chanting our rounds as soon as we get information about Krishna consciousness, we hear sufficiently about Krishna from devotees. And devotees, this is the first thing. After initial hearing, devotees will encourage you to take up chanting, sincere chanting with commitment. Not आज किया कल नहीं किया परसों करूंगा बाद में एक हफ्ते बाद करूंगा. No, a serious committed chanting is what is recommended. So once you hear from devotees, you start chanting, you get knowledge, and you become free from doubt. And in that way, you're able to perform sadhana bhakti in the wholehearted way. Sarva bhavena bharata. So, and that's way you can get attached to Krishna. So when you're attached to any object, you are affectionately attached to an object, the love manifests, and that's how you will further progress in the devotional path, So that, and then subsequently in the 8th chapter, Krishna explains how a soul can attain Krishna. And in the 5th verse of 8th chapter, Krishna says that that Antakaalecha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. Yep. And so that if you remember me in your antakal, at the moment of your death, remember me alone, mam eva, then you will attain my nature without any doubt. And the 6th, so this is a very simple but very, very potent and very, very clear in direction given to all the living entities, that remember Krishna at the moment of death and attain Krishna by this way. There is no other way to attain Krishna. And those who don't attain Krishna will return to Mrityu Samsara Sagara, this cycle of birth and death. So these are also, that also makes it very clear in the subsequent verses. And hence in the seventh verse, immediately in the eighth chapter, Krishna reminds Arjuna, instructs Arjuna that you mam anusmara yudhyacha, give up, surrender your, invest your mind and intelligence into me, their subtle body into me, and thereby live in me forever. All think of me forever, think of me always, constantly. Thereby, and then while thinking about me, you perform your prescribed duties of fighting. So this is again another instruction that remembrance of Krishna can come only if we have remembered him throughout our life. Which means there is a task for us to do. We can't leave ourselves to a matter of chance, that we can't hope that by some accident we will remember Krishna. Now those can happen, that accidents can also happen, but we can't really rely on that only. But so hence we have to cultivate remembrance of Krishna by taking up chanting, a sincere, committed chanting every day, and hearing from Bhagavad Gita, hearing from Bhagavatam, hearing from Chaitanya Charitamrita, hearing glorious pastimes of Lord Krishna, hearing the Vani of Krishna. So unless we do this, the constant unless we do this daily, the continuous remembrance of Krishna cannot come. If we have not remembered Krishna sufficiently, we have not taken his shelter in our life, we cannot remember him at the moment of our death. So this is the process. And so अनन्य चेतः सततम योमाम स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनाम. So in the 14th verse also Krishna reiterates this instruction of remembering him constantly. अनन्य चेतः सततम योमाम स्मरति नित्यशः, जो मेरा स्मरण करते हैं नित्य. So for such a devotee, attaining Krishna is easy. The 9th chapter is Rajavidya Rajaguhyam, and the 10th chapter is Vibhuti Loga, and 11th chapter is Vishwarup Darshan. And then comes a question from Arjuna that amongst Ekatvam and the impersonalists and devotees, who is the superior. Then Krishna again explained in detail in the 12th chapter, rest of the 20 verses, that how his devotee is supreme. And no other path is recommended by Krishna. The all path exists, and if one wish to pursue them, they may try. And जैसे कि Brahma, the Brahman achieve karna is filled with klesha, and whereas for bhakti, Krishna is using the word sulabha. So sulabha is very easy, and susukham is enjoyable. So sulabha and susukham are the two describers used by Krishna for bhakti yoga, amongst many other. And then he says that I personally start helping you. It's not only dependent on your endeavor, because the moment you start pursuing bhakti, I will start assisting you in that endeavor. So I will start helping you in every possible way, so that you can become a devotee, you can remain a devotee, and you can get remembrance of Krishna at the moment of your death. In every difficult situation, I will protect you. I'll protect you, not your body, because Krishna is spiritual. Krishna has spiritual vision. So Krishna see us as a soul, and Krishna want us, our soul, spirit soul, to come back to his dham. And for that, he will do everything that is required. So he will protect our soul, not our body, not our bank balance, not our bungalow, not our car, not our children, not my education, not my fame. He's not going to protect this fame. He's not here to protect, because he don't see these things. He see us as spirit souls and his children, and he want us to come back to him as early as possible. And hence whatever is favorable for our remembrance, that he will provide, and whatever is unfavorable, which is becoming a hindrance, which is becoming an obstruction for us to remember Krishna, that he can take away. So his giving is transcendental, and his taking away is also transcendental. It cannot be in line with our plans. We may have plans for buying 5 cars, and he will see it's creating a problem for this person to get up in the morning and chant 16 rounds. Um, though, so he will take away our ability to purchase those cars. So whatever, wherever we invest ourselves, yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshate. Nivesh is an investment. So everybody is asking us to invest in Krishna. If we invest in Krishna, then we will depend on Krishna. We will be have gratitude towards Krishna. And any other investments we do, any other investments we do for our security, for our safety, Krishna will not want those our dependence. Krishna will not like us to depend on all those. All they have created all those dependencies. He will. We should have Krishna as the sole dependency. For every problem of ours, we should go to Krishna. Krishna is capable of taking care of us completely during this life, at the moment of death, and after our life. All three stages. And then if we can attain Krishna, we need not then bother to return to the material world. So with this, comes comes the verses, opening verses of the 13th chapter, where Arjuna is inquiring, and then so let's see what further. Krishna starts responding immediately to the question that Arjuna has asked. The body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in the material existence, and he attempts to lord it over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. So the field, kshetra is equated with a material body that we all have. And what is the body? Body is made up of senses. A beautiful body which has no senses will not make any sense to us. So body is perceived. The beauty of our body, beauty or the whole body is perceived only through senses. So should be a touch sensation, there should be sight sensation, there should be smell, there should be so all this, with using all our senses only we can perceive things. So the Prabhupada says that body means senses. Body is practically means senses, though and that's what we have. Every part of our body is covered by skin. Skin is a sense. There are other indriyas like eyes, the ears, they perform different activities. Moving on, the conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body. Now, when he said capacity is to capacity depends on two aspects. One is his desires that he had cultivated, and also the past karmic fixed deposit or the bank balance that is available with him. So according to the combination of these two things work for him to get a new body. And so he's offered a body according to, and so to enjoy he's offered a body for what? For enjoying sense gratification. So therefore the body is called kshetra, and the field of activity for the conditioned soul, or the field of activity, kshetra, or field of activity for the conditioned soul. So using which he will try to enjoy. That's why he has come here. That's a principal reason for which all of us have taken birth, is not to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is not to glorify Krishna. None of us have taken birth to glorify Lord. They still happen to be our ancillary activity. Our principal goal for which we all would have taken birth is come here and do sense enjoyment. So it is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body, and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body, and yet he is still the same person. Thus, there is a difference between the knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. So here the bifurcation is done between spirit, matter, and spirit. So body, or the kshetra, that is equated here with the body, material body, which is made up of 5 elements and combined with the mana, buddhi, ahankar. And this is what is material. This is matter. And the person who is driving this body, person who is having those desires. Now, the eyes, in eyes, there is no desire to see. There's no nose, there's no desire to smell. The desirer is soul, and he use all these facilities to navigate through this material world to get the object of his desire. So if one wants to see some sight, nice mountain, river, then one will use elements of his body, to different elements of body, 24 elements, that list will come to go to to go to a place where he can see a beautiful mountain, beautiful sunset, beautiful sunrise, river, the wind blowing. They want to experience all this. So the desirer is soul. Desirer is not the matter. Otherwise, rest of the body is dead matter. They don't have any desire. Just like this table has no desire, whether this should be used for study, this should be used for cooking, this should be used for giving a class. Table per se has no desire. A laptop is a tool. It has no desire. Right now we are using it to broadcast Zoom class. It can be it can be used, it will be used from Monday to Friday for office meetings, and later for preparing PPTs. And but somebody else can use it for playing music, playing movie, and watching cricket match, and so on and so forth. So the desirer is not laptop. The person who is handling the laptop is the desirer. And what we desire, that causes all the problem. Laptop per se will not cause is not a root cause of problem. The desire is a root cause of problem. If it is not correct desire, then that will lead to difficulty. So thus there is a difference between the knower of the field and the activities of the actual field of activities. So we'll study this particular part in a little bit more detail, so that will clarify a lot of our confusions. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. And again, Prabhupada give reference to Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe verse from 2nd chapter, 13th verse. Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara Tatha Dehantara Praptir Dhiras Tatra Namuyati. So the living entity within the body, that the body is changing from childhood to boyhood, and the boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age. And similarly, it will go to a new body at a moment of death. But the sober person is not bewildered by this knowledge. So sober person is that soul, is that sober person, supposed to be the sober person, because every time, I'm watching my own body for last 48 years. And probably first 10 years, I might not have good memory, but maybe from 11 years to today, we have reasonably good memory of ourselves, how we used to look then, how many hairs I had, how beautiful my face was, how healthy my body was, how good my stamina was, how strong I was. I could lift so much weight. I could do so much things. I could play so many games. I was good in this topic. I was good in that topic. Now, all that is changing. All that is changing. I'm the same. I still say, oh, I'm losing my hairs. I had so many hairs. I'm lost all my hairs. Now I remains the same. The picture of me will be drastically different than how I was looking about 20 years back, and how am I looking today. It could be drastically different. And we may say that, oh, we can't even recognize you. But I say, oh, but I am still the same. I'm only saying I'm still the same. So the soul is saying I am still the same. My body has changed, but I am still the same. And that is a simple formula to check our real identity, that we are not this body. It's when we operate in this world, we are referred to as ourselves as a body. And we are in the office, in the schools, in colleges, wherever we go, we are we are referred to as our body, that as a male body, as a female body, as a body who belongs to North India, South India, West India, East India, Bengali body, Maharashtrian body, Gujarati body. And then accordingly people will interact with you, knowing that you are a Gujarati body. They will try, if they are also from Gujarat, they will try to speak with you in Gujarati. If you happen to be Bengali body, they'll try to speak with you in Bengali, talk about something in the Bengal, and then what has happened. And so they all their interactions are based on our body. And that is how we operate in the world. So 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 knowing this is the most important thing, that we are not this body. And the owner is distinctly Kshetrajna. Now, sometimes you think, I am happy, I am man, I am woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. Now, these are bodily designations of the knower, but the knower is different from the body. Although we may say, we may use many articles, we may use clothes, etc. We know that we are different from the things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from our body. So this may seems to be a repetition from which we have studied in the second chapter, where the at the initial level only the bifurcation was drawn. But as we say, wherever such concepts are discussed again, those concepts are taken deeper. There we stopped by discussing the differentiation between matter and spirit. And then Krishna says, pursue spirit. Think about what is eternal. There is one thing which is eternal, one thing which is temporary. So the current body of Bhishma and Drona is temporary body. This body will be destroyed soon, very soon. So you should not worry about their external bodies and try to preserve those bodies. Now so you should act intelligently, and that's where those instructions are leading to. Now in this chapter the concepts may appear similar, but they again takes us into a little bit more deeper, or rather lot more deeper than what we had seen earlier. So it will be interesting to learn this. Now all these terms are quite technical. The kshetra, kshetrajna, purusha, and so we will try and understand them slowly, but hopefully it should not be too tough. so so what we see here is Maslow's need hierarchy. So at the bottom, there are physiological needs. Physiological needs are such as food, water, warmth, rest. This is required for any living entity, even for animals. These are basic needs. They are also called basic needs. And the safety needs. Safety needs are security, safety. If I come to know everything is nice right now at this moment, but if I come to know there is a snake in my room where am I sitting, I'll probably be disturbed. I'll get distress. So though I need some basic level of security in order for me to function and think about think outside me. Let me put it this way: that thinking within myself, my thoughts. If I have not eaten for last 5 days, I'll be or last 2 days, hopefully. And then if I have not eaten anything for last 2 days, my body will crave for food so much that I'll not be able to think of anything else other than food. If I have not drank water for last 1 day, my throat will be so much dry that I will not be able to do anything. If I'm living in New York or Russia, Moscow in winter, I need some basic warmth, or else I will feel that I'll probably die of winter, of this cold. And some basic rest, like 6 hours of sleep is what Prabhupada recommends for everyone. And so minimum 6 hours of sleep one should take. A maximum you should take, not minimum. Minimum and maximum, we should not exceed. We should not sleep too much. But depending on the nature of work one is performing, if one is engaged in a lot of physical activities, one may takes like a couple of 1 or 2 hour extra. But otherwise, 6 hours is what is recommended and what is considered to be sufficient. So if basic needs are not fulfilled, our the other needs don't start. They don't get triggered only. Our whole life will be spent on fulfilling our basic needs. If you understand, animals operate only at the first level, the first two levels of basic need level. They cannot, they don't have much progression towards the other need, the esteem need, the belongingness, love, all that they have. They have families, they can have, they also have families, um, but primarily their major life is spent on handling the basic needs only. And so so once the basic needs are fulfilled, one should immediately take up devotional service, loving and serving Krishna. Belonging or to love and to be loved was when practiced with family of non-devotees, they become cause of bondage. So the esteem needs are mistaken sometimes as basic needs, and hence a lifetime it can be wasted without turning to Krishna. The esteem needs can be prestige, feeling accomplishments, and so earning more than my neighbor or more than my cousins, having a car bigger than my bigger than all the relatives that I am having. Anything, I'm becoming generally becoming famous, just generally becoming the what, having a desire to become the most knowledgeable person in my field of activity. Those kind of desires, if we pursue, and if we make them as part of our basic needs, we may by mistake, and then hence a lifetime can be wasted without having a moment to think about Krishna. A whole lifetime can go. Self actualization means to realize one's full potential. The best use of one's life or lifetime is to use our time to cultivate constant remembrance of Krishna and go back to Krishna at the time of death by remembering Krishna. Everything else should be done to facilitate this primary goal of life. So where we understand this is, the way we should look at it is, as soon as our basic needs are performed, or as soon as, so none of us can say that our basic needs are not fulfilled today. But if we include esteem needs in my basic needs, as part of, consider esteem needs to be part of my basic needs, कि इतना तो मेरे पास बैंक बैलेंस होना ही चाहिए, if I इतना तो ये तो डिग्री मुझे लेनी ही चाहिए. Now whatever is the trigger which is driving us for those accomplishments and the prestigious feelings, if we get hooked to those, we actually end up treating them like basic needs, at par with basic needs, and then it will be impossible for us to then pursue bhakti or think think outside ourselves and go to Krishna, think about Krishna. So this become a cause of bondage. The love, the so the love is also a similar one, that if we remain entangled with our family, now the family, so we have a vertical loving relationship with Krishna and then horizontal relationship with our family members. Now it is expected that horizontal relationships should help us become fixed in our vertical relationship, and we should, so our wife and children should help us become a good devotee of Lord Krishna, and similarly we should help our wife and children to become good devotees of Lord Krishna. So we help them to strengthen their vertical relationship with Krishna. All of us have this vertical relationship with Krishna, and horizontally we are connected. We are connected with our spouses, our parents, our children, and devotees, in friends and relatives and society in general. So there are a horizontal relationship which go outward, and then there is a vertical relationship which is there with Krishna, because Krishna is our ultimate father. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Everything for for us is happening because of Krishna. We are getting intelligence from Krishna. We are getting remembrance from Krishna. We are getting all the facilities, strength from Krishna. We are getting this body from Krishna. We are got the facilities currently we are enjoying. All that has come from Krishna, and hence uh, we have this relationship. We may not, some people may not be even aware that they have a relationship with Krishna, and it is all coming from Krishna. They may think that, they may live in the illusion that all this is that they have on their office belongs to them, their home belongs to them, and they may live in that illusion. But if one becomes little intelligent, one inquires a little bit, one is understanding that one is able to understand that they have a relationship with Krishna. Now you may have this vertical relationship and you may not care about it. You may choose to ignore this relationship, but a relationship exists. Just like a father and son has a relationship. Son has come from father. Had father not been there, the son would not have appeared. So no matter whether son fight with the father, son doesn't talk to the father, or son is in a loving relationship with father, no matter how is their relationship right now, there exists, relationship existence cannot be declined. It just there, it is there. And now if it is there, why not have a proper relationship? Then if we have a relationship, if we've taken so much from Krishna, then why not to be grateful to him? Why not to be thankful to him? Why not to love him back? Right? Because he's doing us so much, why not take some time out to give things back to Krishna, to give something, do something according to his desire? He's done so much for us. Why not to be in line with his plans? So this is how we turn our attention to Krishna. And we can actually do a self-actualization, which is to attain Krishna. That's the goal of life, by remembering Krishna throughout our life and also at the moment of death. The Krishna in the third next verse gives a very beautiful verse. It is Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Kshetra kshetra jayo jnanam yat yad jnanam matam mama. Yad jnanam matam mama. Matam mama is often says Krishna, this is my opinion. But we know dharmyam hi sakshat bhagavat pranita. Whatever Krishna speaks is dharma. So he did not give opinion. But to to uh, to confuse those who don't believe him in his godliness, he says this, and then this is his mata, this is his opinion. But whatever his opinion is the ultimate statement of Shastra. Whatever is done by Krishna is the final verdict. No other appeal. There's no appeal to whatever Krishna says. So, O son of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower of all bodies, in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So, uh, so we are aware of our body. When we say I'm aware of my body, I'm aware that where am I sitting? If I'm sitting or if I'm standing, I'm aware of the movement of my hand. I can move my hand. Uh, I can move my one hand. I can move both my hands. I can look to the left. I can look to the right. I can nod my head, and I can. So there is an awareness that I possess, and awareness of this body. But so I'm considered to be kshetrajna of my own body. Now there are certain parallels, some few things are happening in my body where which are called involuntary actions. Like I'm breathing. However, just like I am giving instruction to lift my hand, I have not given instruction to take breath in and uh, throw breath out. So the breathing is happening almost automatically. However, that is an action that is happening. Somebody is doing it, but I'm unaware of it. I'm not aware of it. I'm not thinking, let's breathe in, let's breathe out, let's breathe in. Now I may do that during yoga sessions, but in general for 24 hours in sleep also we are breathing. Now we're not we're not really thinking that we are breathing. We need to breathe now, otherwise, how will we survive? It just happens automatically. It's so called involuntary actions. The food that I must have eaten in the morning must be getting digested now. Now there is, I'm not I'm not aware of it. I'm not instructing that, just like how I instruct my leg to move, hand to move. I'm not instructing, let my food get digested. Let's move it from this part of the body to this part of the body. Let those juices be applied and the waste be separated. There's nothing, but it's all happening inside me. But but these are all involuntary actions. So I am partly aware of my body, not fully, but generally I'm aware of my body, but I'm not aware of your bodies. When I when I lift hand, I can only lift my hand. I cannot lift your hand. So, but Krishna says something very significant here. He says that I am also the knower of all bodies. He's basically giving reference to the super soul. As a super soul, Krishna resides in all bodies. So there is a kshatrajna. So there is a soul which exists in every body, which is what all the nature of soul that we've seen in second chapter. But now Krishna here adds another aspect to it, that he says that soul is not alone. It is accompanying. इसके साथ और कोई है, और वो है super soul. Krishna says, I am that. So I reside in every body of every living entity as a super soul. And I am also knower of the body. I am also knower of your body. Krishna is knower of my body. Krishna is knower of your body. And he is knower of a cat body, a dog body, a hog body, a fish body, a chicken's body, a goat's body, a cow body, a tiger body, a lion body, elephant body. He is there in every living entity's body. Wherever there is a living symptoms, Krishna is present there. And that's what he's saying, that I am also the knower. So whenever we desire something bad, Krishna knows. Whenever we have spiritual desire, let me read Bhagavad Gita one verse every day. When we have such desires, Krishna knows. When we have desire to go and watch a movie and by skipping and then late night and then thereby not wanting to do japa in the morning, Krishna knows. Krishna is there. He's present in everybody's body, and he understands and know about all our actions and all our desires. So Krishna says, now please hear my brief description of this field of activity, how it is constituted, what its changes are, when it is produced, and who that knower of the field of activity is, and what his influences are. Again, 6 things Krishna is going to explain. Again, could sound to be very technical, but let's focus on the fundamentals. The 5 great elements. So this is verse 6 and 7. And where Krishna gives a list of 24 elements that are part of, with which this field is constructed. The 5 great elements: the false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 senses of 5 sense object, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, and aggregate. And the aggregate, the life symptoms, the convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. This is the translation of verse 6 and 7. Then Prabhupada has done something very significant. The verse 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the 5 verses in 13th chapter, he combined. They describe these 5 verses talks about the subject, the knowledge, because Krishna is going to explain what knowledge means. And so he says in the last line, all these I declare to be knowledge, and beside this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So this is what is knowledge, what is covered in this verses, a series of verses from 8 to 12 chapter, 12th verse, starting with humility and ending with the philosophical search for the absolute truth. What a range we have. Humility to philosophical search for the absolute truth. Now, all this, whatever is there in between, Krishna says that I declare this to be the knowledge, and beside this, whatever is there is ignorance. Now, we'll go through this. Now, he doesn't say when we want to talk about knowledge, and we'll see this list and first, and then we will come to subsequent discussion. So he starts with humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, ego, um, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant event, a constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and the philosophical search for the absolute truth. Now, when we, and Krishna says, conclude this by saying that I declare all these, I declare to be knowledge, and anything outside this, Krishna says, that is ignorance. So the knowledge is not what we all learn, what we all have learned so far. This is not taught in any university. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approach a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master. Now, some of this may be taught as one of the subject, but this is not what we go to university to learn. This is going to help us cultivate spiritual consciousness. And Krishna says only that knowledge is critical. But other than this, you may pursue commerce, become a CA. Krishna says that is ignorance. You may become engineer and then become scientist. Krishna says that is useless. Krishna says if you have done working as a politician trying to help people, Krishna says you are in ignorance, and so on and so forth. So whatever we must have had seen as the source of knowledge for us, be it engineering, medicine, commerce, architecture, art, if all of those things, Krishna says, Krishna doesn't consider them to be knowledge. And what all universities we have, whatever schools, colleges, and universities that we all have, none of them is going to teach us all these things. So, so we should know that all that what we have pursued so far has given us the life, has given us the living, given us the living, means has helped us maintain ourselves so far, but it has not given us the meaning of life. None of those curriculums taught us how you should end the cycle of birth and death, and who Krishna is and why should we surrender to him. None of those universities taught this, and hence Krishna says everybody is in ignorance. So we'll see these qualities in more detail. Humility means not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored. So the devotee, beautiful verse comes in Chaitanya Shikshashtakam, that that Trunadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Not desiring of being honored. Amanina Manadena. So devotees are given a lot of honor. So yesterday you would have seen Narta Prabhu, the moment he sat, Garland was he was Garland, and that's what anybody who speaks, people, devotees, when we call devotees home, we make them wear garland, the garland prasad. We offer it to Krishna, and then we give it to the devotees. And so the moment Narta Prabhu comes into the class, everybody go flat on ground. They all pay obeisances. Now this is the honor that is offered whenever we are contemplating when we should call devotees home for prasad, when we are contemplating always when he will come, when we contemplate when we will be able to meet with him and ask some questions, inquire from him, take some guidance, take some help from him. Now this is what is done with devotees. So a devotee, from devotees, so this is from our perspective. This should be our mood. But from a devotee's perspective, he is who is receiving all these honors. Now he has to accept if honor is offered, but he doesn't have to expect honor Whenever I'm going there, I should be honored. So expectation, if he start expecting, that's a problem, but he should accept. If it is offered, he should accept it. If somebody come and pay obeisances, he should accept it. He should bless them as per their whatever their levels are. And so so the devotee expect honor don't expect to be honored, but they accept honor if it is offered. So that's a humility. Humility is when you have qualities to be to deserve, you're deserving of those respect, because you are such a nice devotee, wonderful seva you have done, and so you're fully deserving the respect that you are getting. A dambha, the opposite to this, is when I don't have any qualities, but I still have a desire to be honored, still have a desire to be respected. When I don't have the required qualities, despite of not having any qualities, I expect myself to be honored, and then I make a show of myself being a possessor of all those qualities. That is called dambha, and that is called, and then the Krishna Prabhupada has translated this as pridelessness. Opposite of dambha is adambha, which means one is not even not expecting anything, not having a being proud that मैं ये करता हूँ, मैं वो करता हूँ. So he's pridelessness. Non-violence. Prabhupada define non-violence as not to put others in distress. Unless one elevate people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge. A significant sentence. We think if we are not eating chickens and meat and mutton, we are probably we are, we are not really incurring violence. Prabhupada gives a completely different understanding of what violence is, and this is covered in the. This was covered. This one. There's one verse in Sri Upanishad, which also gives a similar message. Now, Maharaj said this often, that one should not become a teacher. One should not become a teacher or a guru, or or one should not become a husband, and one should not become a father unless he is able to guide their student, their wives, and their children on the spiritual path. So what Maharaj says often is that one should not become a teacher unless they are able to, they have capacity and desire to guide their students on the spiritual path. One should not become husband unless he is capable of guiding his wife on the spiritual path. And one should not become one should not become father unless he has capability of guiding his children on the spiritual path. There's a beautiful pastime in the 5th canto where Rishabdev is giving instructions to his 100 sons, and the eldest son was Bharat Maharaj. And the first thing that he says is this. So Lord Rishabdev told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. What a significant statement. So Maharaj Rishabdev is incarnation of Lord himself. And he is giving this instruction. This is as good as a verse from Bhagavad Gita, the direct instruction from Krishna. So one should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness, which continues forever. All movies that teach us that at the end comes a slate, and then they lived forever. And here Rishabh Dev is giving secret to his 100 sons, how their life can become blissful and can continue forever. So what one has to do, for if one wants to have a eternal blissful life which continues forever, one has to purify one's heart by performing what? Such activities. Which activities? The devotional service to the divine, and the devotional service. This is the but for performing devotional service, what do we need? We need penance and austerity. We need to voluntarily engage ourselves in penances and austerities. For what? Not for gaining promotion, not for getting a spouse, not for getting a child, not for clearing my degree. Penance and austerity should be performed to attain the divine position of devotional service, for loving and serving Krishna. So by such activities, by such devotional penances and activity, penance and austerities only, one's heart becomes purified, and then he can attain the eternal blissful life. This is, and before that, what does he say? He says, don't live life of a dog and hog. Hog is sewer, hog kind of a sewer, and then dogs and hogs who eat stool. Now the sense gratification is available to all the animals. So he says, if you work hard to earn facilities, to engage in the sense gratification only, if you remain fixed at that level only, uh, he's saying it's a waste of life. So the penances and austerities must be voluntarily accepted for progressing in Krishna consciousness. And the rules and regulations must be strictly followed voluntarily, intentionally, not by force, but we should have this knowledge and we should apply this knowledge in our life, so that we can make progress towards Krishna. So non-violence is not making an effort to live life according to Bhagavad Gita instructions. That is violence. And when we live life according to, when we make an effort to meet devotees and live life according to the instructions of Krishna, then we are really non-violence. Otherwise, we are practicing violence. Though we may not be killing people, we may not be killing animals, we must be protecting all the trees, all that we are doing, but we are living life of violence. The killer of the soul. I was trying to remember what is the concept. The killer of the soul is, now the soul cannot be killed. We know in Bhagavad Gita it is said that soul cannot be killed. There is no death for soul. But Ishopnishat talks about killer of the soul. Killer of the soul is when soul is deprived of his of this eternal blissful life, when a person chooses not to practice Krishna consciousness, that time he is considered to be the killer of the soul, because he is delaying the return to Krishna for this particular soul more and more. And more you are engaged in sense gratification and without devotional service, more the time it will take for you to even meet devotees, even start your devotional service and actually go back to Krishna. So tolerance to be practiced to hear insult and dishonor from others. Why should we tolerate insults and dishonors from others? Prabhupada tolerated insults and dishonors from Americans in 1965, when he traveled there and was living in a very poor locality where everybody was very rude and had no idea who sadhu is, how to deal with a sadhu, how to pay obeisances, how to listen to his instructions, how to be even how to be how to behave well with an elderly person, what to speak of sannyasi and sadhu. I had no idea. The young Americans who were living in and around that area were completely consumed by drugs. So Prabhupada tolerated their insults. Prabhupada tolerated their dishonors. And why you tolerate? So that he can fix himself up on the devotional service, so that he can act on the instructions of his Guru Maharaj. So for him, the instructions from his Guru were bigger than maintaining his honor, maintaining his and protecting himself from insults. He says, "Nachao, nachao, Prabhu, nachao. You make me dance, oh Lord, like a Katputli. Katputli is like a doll. You make me dance. If you whatever you want me to do, you make me do that. I am completely yours." And it includes on occasions, accepting insults, accepting dishonors from people around us, and Prabhupada accepted that. What to speak of America? He was being dishonored in India also. People he used to chase people for accepting the Back to Godhead magazine, read, become devotee, and nobody was interested. So that was dishonor. They would not accept his instructions. So that's dishonor as well. Ignorance. He was being ignored by people. So, but he continued tolerating all this. So one should also tolerate in bhakti. Prahlad Maharaj tolerated all the atrocities that his father was presenting himself with. Now, none of us hopefully have this kind of a will have to face this kind of a tolerance or this kind of difficulties. So our tolerance could be that our boss may not give us. So boss may want us to work late, and hence we are not able to reach home on time, not able to sleep on time, and then get up early in the morning. Our problems could be small as compared to what the problems these great devotees have faced. But one should, if you remember that tolerance is important, and when one must be tolerant, one must practice it in bhakti. And our tolerance, we may have to practice it with mostly with our families, our friends. We have to tolerate it, whatever, because practicing bhakti is also not that way very easy, because you're doing something which rest of the population is not doing because of ignorance. So we should be intelligent enough not to become ignorant like them and become part of them, but we should protect our bhakti, and for that you will have to tolerate. You'll have to tolerate from your comments from your family members, comments from your parents, comments from your children, comments from your difficulties that can be faced by, that can come from your friends, your relatives, your so and so forth. So become remaining tolerant is essential, and one should always check if one is tolerant enough in bhakti. And different challenges will come. Learn to be tolerant. Simplicity is so straightforward that you can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. Accepting spiritual master, this is essential. Cleanliness, bathing is external. Maintaining clean body, clean surrounding, that's external. Chanting is internal cleaning. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you're you're cleaning your body from inside, cleaning your desires, cleaning your mind, cleaning cleaning desires doesn't mean you stop desiring. Changing your desires from material to spiritual. And that is what chanting will do. That is what is essential for us to become fixed in Krishna consciousness. Self-control, reject anything unfavorable to bhakti. And so that also requires a lot of determination. Renunciation of sense objects, not cater to unnecessary demands, gratify only to keep our body fit for devotional service. So that's why we said, when in the Maslow's need hierarchy, when our basic needs are fulfilled, then we should immediately take up to the devotional service. And we should not reduce our devotional service unless we are in a situation where our basic needs are not met, where there is no food is available, when there is no when suddenly there is no food available in the home, there is no clothing, there is no home only. If my basic needs are, if I'm facing challenges in basic needs, maintaining myself, maybe only in that case we may think of reducing our rounds if it's consuming too much time for us to even we may not be actually able to perform. If you're not eaten for 2-3 days, you probably will not be able to perform devotional service at our level. So at the level of Haridas Thakur, he could do that. But at our level, our devotional service will get affected if our basic needs are not met. But provided those are met, then there should be no impact. No should be no other excuse to us than that. So falling sick is not should not be an excuse, unless you are hospitalized for heart attack and on ventilator or whatever. But there also your devotional service should continue. Whenever such situation comes, we recommend devotees to carry a chanting machine, proper chanting machine. Everybody should have proper chanting machine in their home. And these are the times when this to be used. When you are not able to chant, at least listen to a pure devotee of Lord chant, and thereby continue with your bhakti. So so the renunciation of sense objects is not to starve unnecessarily, not to perform wrong austerities, but to make sure that you are keeping your body fit for devotional service, which again also means that you should not overindulge into devotional activities also. The prasad, if you have certain bodily problems, for example, if you're a diabetic, then you should, and the prasad often contain a sweet item, one should not take sweet items, because prasad is made up of material elements, material ingredients, which will have reactions on the material body. The prasad will have spiritual potency, which will help soul, which is fine, but it is still made up of ingredients which are material in nature. And if sugar is one of them, and my body, it will react on my body if I consume it too much. So if I consume it too much, it's, though it is prasad, it's going to have negative effect on my body. And what can then happen? Whenever the service opportunity comes up, my body is not fit to accept those service opportunities. So a renunciation of sense object doesn't mean always that renouncing um, material sense object. That goes without saying. But even in spiritual life, one should protect one's body, keep it fit enough so that you can perform devotional service whenever the opportunity comes. Absence of false ego, reject I am this body, mind, etc. Except I am the servant of Krishna. So ego is not going to go away. Mind's ability to produce desire is not going to go away. Intelligence, you don't have to switch off. We just have to use all of these in service of Krishna. So how we can use our ego to serve Krishna? Instead of saying when you are asked who you are and said I am so and so from so and so region, and I'm Indian, I'm a Brahmin, I'm a Kshudra, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a Vaishya, or whatever I am, and whatever that follows after this, I am. One should not be. So all that is false ego, because the primary assumption in that I am, and then whatever comes after that is I am this body. But if you are soul, and then you are servant of Krishna. As a soul, there's only one service that you have: eternal service to Krishna, eternal loving relationship with Krishna, and relationship has service. So when you accept I am servant of Krishna, now that is your right ego. So ego will always be there. Ego cannot disappear. You cannot make ego go away. So mind will always be there, and as long as we have mind, we'll produce desires. But we have to modify our desires to produce Krishna. How I can serve Krishna? There should be a desire to serve Krishna. There should be a desire to go back to Krishna. There should be a desire to serve devotees. There should be a desire to learn scriptures. There should be a desire to chant more. There should be a desire to perform some seva for Krishna and his devotees. So these desires don't stop, but they change from material to spiritual. These are all spiritual desires. There should be a desire how I can engage my children in serving Krishna. There should be a desire how best I can engage my family members, other family members in service of Krishna. So desires are not going away. Mind's primary job is to produce desire. And ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. So that's how we all landed up in this material world in the first place, as confirmed by Krishna in the 27th verse of 7th chapter. So they are all there, but we are just dovetailing them in Krishna's service. So next is a perception of evils of birth, death, and old age and disease. We'll see this a little bit more in detail. We must regularly hear about these from proper sources. Detachment, be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. Everything means everything for Krishna. Um, when Bali Maharaj example comes very prominently for this, that he agreed that he asked what you want, and Baman Dev, Lord Vishnu, who appeared as Baman Dev, he says, I need land which I can cover by 3 steps. 3-step land I want. And then he says, oh, foolish boy, I thought you are a very Gyani. I was looking at your beautiful body, your beautiful face, you look to be very knowledgeable. But actually you have a Bal Buddhi. You're childlike intelligence. You're not very intelligent. Why you're asking? I'm स्वामी of तीनों लोक का स्वामी मैं हूँ. तो तुम मुझसे क्यों 3 टांगे मांग, 3 स्टेप जमीन क्यों मांग रहे हो? उसमें आपका क्या होगा? आप और कुछ मांग लो. But then Babander says that no, Brahmana should be satisfied with whatever he needs. His needs need to be taken care of. If there is no self-control, then whatever he get, no matter how much he get, he will remain unsatisfied with that. So Brahmana has this satisfaction. Santosh is one of the primary quality of Brahmana. So he says, I just want 3 steps land. That's it. I'll not ask for more, even though I know you have more. You are capable of giving more. I don't need that because I'm happy with whatever I will get from you. And then Shukracharya intervenes, says that he's Vishnu. Reject him, reject this offer. Say there is no such offer. I never told you, or you're not given arghya, so you're not giving anything. He will take everything from you. He's Vishnu. You can't give him whatever he wants, and you have no capacity to give him. The can't means you don't have capacity to give him. If Vishnu wants 3 steps, his 3 steps can be anything. So you will not be able to give him. So nobody can give Vishnu. Everything is belonging to Vishnu. So then Bali Maharaj, and so he advises otherwise to. So this is again, if you are a guru, if you are a teacher, if you are a guru, you should take your disciple, your student closer to Krishna. Here, what Shukracharya was doing, he was taking Bali Maharaj away from Krishna. Very well knowing that Baman Dev is Vishnu himself, he should have advised the other way around. However, he is trying to protect his kingdom. He's trying to protect his wealth. He's trying to protect his palace. He's trying to protect his Aishwarya. So Bali Maharaj, being a pure devotee of Lord, he didn't agree. He disagreed with Shukracharya, and that's also a great quality of a devotee. So he rejected his guru's advice. So you should be knowledgeable enough to know when to do that. If at all one unfortunately faces such a situation, that whatever is favorable for me to go closer to Krishna must be accepted and should be accepted. Even though my guru advises me to the contrary, even though my parents are advising me to the contrary, even though my friends are telling me to do things contrary, I should do things which should take me closer to the Krishna. And Bali Maharaj says that ये अगर कृष्णा भी है तो भी मैं दूंगा, ये विष्णु है तो भी मैं दूंगा, बिकॉज सभी कुछ उनका है. एंड अगर वो मन बना के आए हैं कि मैं बलि महाराज से 3 ढेक भूमि लूंगा, तो मुझ में क्या किसी में भी इतनी क्षमता नहीं कि उनसे मना कर ले और उनको ना दे. अगर उन्होंने मन बना लिया है, इफ इट इज सैंक्शन, ही विल टेक इट एनीवे. तो वैसे भी वो छीन लेंगे, तो मैं माइट एज वेल आई माई सेल्फ गिव इट टू हिम. So that, and then he says he's come to me as a bhikshuk, as asking for this bhiksha, and then I will give, no matter whatever the effect of that. So so he became the that the Atma Nivedana, or giving oneself completely to Krishna. He became an example of that. जैसे प्रहलाद महाराज example है of Smaranam, remembering Krishna. Prahlad is an example of that. Speaking about Krishna, Sukhdev Goswami is an example of that. Hearing Parikshit Maharaj is an example of that. Hearing and chanting, we say hearing and chanting, but there are some examples. There are some great personalities who have practiced this devotionals. ये अंग भक्ति का ये जो अंग है, उन्होंने बहुत ही सुंदर तरीके से, बहुत ही expertly वो follow किया है, and hence they become our example. They become our heroes. They become our ideals. So bhakti detachment, be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. Bali Maharaj is our idol. No entanglement with wife, children, etc. Affection is natural, but renounce if relationship. I'll read from the slide. Is not favorable for spiritual advancement. Renounce if relationship is, so we spoke about this horizontal relationship and vertical relationship. Vertical relationship is there for everyone, all of us, and horizontal relationships are supposed to help us focus on our vertical relationship. But if they are becoming a distraction for our vertical relationship, then we should renounce, even though it means they happen to be our wife, their children, or parents, or whatever, friends, what to speak of friends and others. Even-mindedness. Again, this has been spoken elaborately in the earlier sections of Bhagavad Gita, how we should be equipoised in distress and happiness, the material gain or loss by performing unbreakable, without deviation, devotional service. So then Ananya Bhakti, engaging oneself in 9 processes of devotional service, aspiring to live in a solitary place, Dham, Vrindavan, Mayapur, aspiring to live, have a desire to live there towards the end of your life. So Prabhupada had this aspiration that he want to give up his body in Vrindavan. And at times he used to be worried that his health was deteriorating. So he asked some of his god brothers that's the vidhan of Shastra, that one should give up one's body in a dham. And but unfortunately, I'm traveling to all these places like America, Australia, England, France, Germany now, which are full with adharma. Ugrasthane, Prabhupada referred to them as Ugrasthane, means where everyone is covered by the mode of passion and ignorance, or rajo or tamogun se बाधित लोग यहाँ पे रहते हैं. And so hardly there are any places of worship. There are no pastimes. So these are not dham. Where is Vrindavan? Where is America? So Prabhupada used to be worried at times that what if he ended up giving up his body in any such place? What will so he wanted to get some guidance about it from his friends, from his god brothers. And then they said, Prabhupada, you don't have to worry about this, because wherever you are, there is Vrindavan. You carry Vrindavan wherever you go. So even if such situation arises, there is no loss for you. You will always be in Vrindavan. You are in Vrindavan. So you don't have to worry about that. So that is the aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from general masses, not desiring to mix with materialistic men, live in association of devotees. When you want to aspire to live in a solitary place, now in India, one may have to go to, when one may travel to Vrindavan and Mayapur and other places, or one may live close to temple and devote one's entire life for serving Krishna, by staying close to the temple. But but once you make this as a choice, you have to exercise another choice also, which is detachment from general masses who are not into Krishna consciousness, who are not practicing Krishna consciousness, not desiring to mix with materialistic men. Now, so both things should go together. If we try to do one and also to another, it will not be helpful. And we'll see that Prabhupada mentioned that in the comments, one of the comment in his purport. Accepting importance of self-realization, give up unnecessary sporting, non-devotional cinema going activities. Now, these are all words coming from Prabhupada purport. So very nicely is explained that what is given examples of what is Krishna really explaining here. What is and all these, they are called knowledge. So when you know this, that accepting importance of self-realization, this is part of knowledge. Not that commerce degree is a BCom degree is a knowledge. Not that arts degree I possess is a knowledge. Not that doctor I write before my name is my knowledge. They are not indicative of knowledge. This is knowledge. And last is philosophical search for absolute truth, rejection of useless research and philosophical topics. So Prabhupada, one of the conversations Prabhupada met with a scientist, he's saying that we have done research on grass, how it grows, what are its components. We completely tried to understand the grass. But Prabhupada said, what is the use of this? Grass will anyway grow. Even if you don't know how it is growing, it is still growing everywhere whenever there is water poured from rains come. So he said, yeah, but now we understand it. But he said that's useless research. Research about yourself, research who you are, research from where you have come, research from where you are going, research the reincarnation, research about this topic, then research who God is, research what is your relationship with God, research what should you do in order to attain God, research how to end the permanent cycle of birth and death, the symptoms of which are the dukkha, janma mrityu, jara vyadhi. In the purport, we'll see some aspects, some purports. This is the last verse, so we should be able to close in another 10 minutes. So beginning from the practical humility up to the point of self-realization, realization of the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, this process is just like a staircase. Staircase means CD. CD beginning from the ground floor and going up to the top floor. Now on this staircase, there are so many people who have reached first floor, second floor, or third floor, etc. So there are many people who could be once we all start practicing Krishna consciousness with humility, basic humility, we've taken the first step. Now and we start making progress, and the objective is to go to the top of self-realization, that the Krishna is absolute truth. But and all of us could be in different levels. Some could be on the first stage itself, some could be trying to practice first step itself. It's not that we become perfect in any of these, because it's a continuous process. We are humble today in temple. When we go out in office, we may not remain humble. We may become proud. We may become puffed up by of what our position is, how everybody is saying us sir, how everybody is respecting us, how my car is the biggest car, how so whatever could be the trigger. So I have to be humble wherever I am, be it in temple, be it in outside temple, and everywhere I should be humble. So we may take step 1, step 2, step 3, but we may still need to continuously work on all those steps. So it's not that we are done with humility. Okay, next, what next? It doesn't happen that way. Every moment is a testing moment for us to remain humble, and at times we may not remain so much humble, and we all know that. So it's so everybody can be at different stage in the progress on this particular ladder or a staircase. But unless one reaches the top floor, which is the understanding of Krishna, he is at a lower stage of knowledge. If anyone wants to compete with God, compete with God, at the same time make advancement in spiritual knowledge, he will be frustrated. Now, this is an example that where we are competing with God, we are competing with God by becoming enjoyer ourselves. So we came to this world for enjoying this world independent of God. So this is our competitive spirit with God. We are competitors of God in terms of enjoyment. Why should God be the only enjoyer? Why should only he enjoy? I also just desire to enjoy. And that's how we all have landed up over here. So if we become a competitor to God, and then we want to simultaneously become submissive and love God. Now, both things cannot happen simultaneously, we will be frustrated. This will lead us to frustration. Why? Because if you are wish to burn wood, you must protect it from getting wet. उसको पानी से बचाना पड़ेगा. अगर कोई लकड़ा हमें जलाना है तो उसको पानी से बचाना पड़ेगा. अगर हम आग लगा रहे हैं उस पर से पानी डाल रहे हैं, then our it will simply not work, and we will get a lot of frustration. We will get our objective will not be fulfilled. So Prabhupada again highlight no taste for cinema, sports, enjoying social functions, don't want to mix with materialistic men. All these need to be practiced. And at, so if we are if we are actually enjoying company of both, then our devotional service is indication of the fact that our devotional service is weak, sadhana is weak. So we should increase our sadhana. We should become more sincere in our sadhana. We should become more sincere in hearing and chanting. So one should try to understand. Now, this is the topic of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Beautiful verse in the 13th chapter, which actually talks about the symptoms of Prabhupada call it, or we can see the perception of evils. Perception of evil in this material, how the material world is not a great place to live can be understood when we see symptoms. These are all perception of evil of birth, death. How birth, death, old age and disease are the root cause of our problem, are the problems that we must try to solve, are the real problems of life. One should have perception about this. One should understand that distress of accepting birth, death, old age, and disease. One should try to understand the distress. Now, in the Bhagavatam, the world of unborn, the child stay in the womb of a mother, its suffering, etc., are very graphically described. Graphically, I can probably show you by way of an example. Hopefully that slide is open. So in third canto, where the Kapil Dev's pastimes are described, in the 31st chapter, third canto, 31st chapter, 30th chapter is also very important, very beautiful. It talks about how a person get entangled in his family life. I'll send you a Word document of both these chapters, and you should all try and read and understand what it means. But the graphic description, now this is the graphic description. On the first night, the sperm and ovum mix, and on the 5th night, the mixture ferments into a bubble. On the 10th night, it develops into a foam-like plum, and after that, it gradually turns into a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. In the course of a month, a head is formed. At the end of 2 months, hand, feet, other limbs take shape. By the end of 3 months, nails, fingers, toes, body all appear. Organ generation. So the 4-month date from the date of conception, the 7 essential ingredients of body, namely different elements of then the 5th month, the hunger, thirst make themselves felt. 6th month onwards, the fetus enclosed by aminin begins to move on the right side of the abdomen. Now, deriving the nutrition, food, drink taken by the mother, the fetus grows and remains in that abominable residence of stool, urine, which is breeding place for all kind of worms. Now, bitten again and again all over the body by the hungry worms in the abdomen itself, the child suffers terrible agony because of his tenderness. He thus becomes unconscious moment after moment because of the terrible condition. Owing to the mother's eating pungent foodstuff or food which is too salty, too sour, the body of the child incessantly suffers pain which is almost intolerable. Maybe the mother is eating Chinese food or um, or non-vegetarian food made up in Chinese or in general spicy food. A place the within the amnion and covered outside by the intestine. The child remains lying on one side of the abdomen, his head turned towards its belly, and the back neck arch like a bow. The child remains in like that cage without freedom of movement. At that time, the child is fortunate. At that time, if the child is fortunate, he can remember all the troubles of past 100 birth, and he grieves wretchedly. What is the possibility of peace of mind in that condition? And then how the child is born, and then so he's praying. The human soul says, I've taken shelter of the lotus, take shelter of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead who appears in his various form. So this is what a soul is praying, because he can give me relief from all fear. From him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting my impious activities. So he's admitting that because of my past karma, I'm being put into this bad condition. But this is justice. This is justice that, oh Lord, you have done to me. I, the poor soul, appearing now, bound by my activities, am trying, lying in the womb of my mother by the arrangement of Maya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him who is also here with me, but who is unaffected and changeless. He is unlimited. He is perceived in the in the repentant heart. To him I offer my respectful obeisances. So I am separated from the Supreme Lord because of my being in this material body, which is made of 5 elements, and therefore my qualities and senses are being misused. Although I am essentially spiritual, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental to material nature and the living entities, because he is devoid of such a material body, because he is always glorious and his spiritual qualities, I offer my respectful obeisances. So, in this way, uh, in this way, a soul is actually uh, praying for all his wrongs, whatever he has done so far, and promises to the Lord that this time when he will come out, he will not mess up. He will perform bhakti and he will attain Krishna at the end of this life. So the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, Janma Mrityu, Janma so this should be seen as symptoms of problem. There is a pessimistic view which we must conclusion that we must come to before we can become serious about bhakti. Pessimistic view of this world. Pessimistic means दुखालय अशाश्वतम. अगर हम ये कन्विंस नहीं होंगे कि ये वर्ल्ड इज प्लेस ऑफ मिजरी, एंड दीज आर द सिम्टम्स ऑफ मिजरी. There will be death, there will be old age. Today we may be young and we may be wanting to do 100 things. We are able to attract the opposite sex, we are able to uh, do so many things, uh, and by passage of time this body will become dwindle, this will dwindle, and I'll become old, I'll lose out all the senses. I'm able to see whatever I want, whatever I desire to see, I'm trying to see. I'm whatever desiring, I'm trying to taste, whatever desiring, I'm trying to smell, whatever I'm desiring, I'm trying to touch. I'm trying to do all this according to my capacity. But as these senses are giving me pleasure today, by the passage of time they will become weaker, and then this face will become ugly, this become old, and it will not be attractive, it won't remain attractive anymore. And but my desires will still stay. Desire to attract opposite sex can still stay. My desire to enjoy opposite sex will still stay. Desire to eat so many things will stay. Even though my my hunger, my hunger will go down, my ability to digest will disappear, and I'll no longer I'll feel miserable after eating, but my desire to eat continues. So that's where that becomes the cause of my misery. The same abilities, same facilities which are giving me pleasure in my youth become the cause of my biggest distress. Now, so Bhagavatam explains this. Similarly, at the time of death, there are all kind of sufferings. Now, not only during the lifetime, during birth and during lifetime, death also, there are all kind of sufferings. They are also mentioned in authoritative scripture. So as far as the diseases and old age are concerned, they are everybody has practical experience of those. So unless we have a pessimistic view of this material world, unless we are convinced that this world is dukhalaya, this world is temporary, and unless we have this pessimistic view, pessimism is not optimism. ऑप्टिमिज्म इज नहीं, मुझसे मेरे साथ अच्छा होगा, वर्ल्ड वैसे खराब है पर मेरे साथ सब अच्छा हो रहा है, वर्ल्ड इज बैड इन वन सेंस बट आई हैव गुड फैसिलिटी सो आई विल कंटिन्यू टू एंजॉय. नाउ ऑन दिस, इफ यू हैव दिस मेंटालिटी, देन भक्ति प्रोग्रेस नहीं होगा, भक्ति में कोई प्रोग्रेस नहीं होगा. Unless we take a pessimistic view of this material life, this world, unless we become convinced that this world is a place of misery, dukhalaya, anitya asukham lokam. Krishna again describes it, reconfirmed it in that chapter 9 also, that this is anitya, this is temporary, and asukham, there is no sukha, there is no happiness in this world. So unless we get fully convinced of this fact, Krishna says that there is no impetus. Impetus means there is no inspiration for us to make advancement in spiritual life. So if anybody is thinking why they are not trying to become good devotees, why despite of trying hearing this Krishna Katha for many years, why they are not able to take up chanting sincerely, why they are not able to visit temples more often, this is the anchor which is holding them back. Anchor agar यहीं पे लगा होगा तो you will not be able to travel anywhere. Anchor will pull you back wherever you may try and some distance, but you will be brought back onto the shore. So as long as we have this anchor क्या है कि हमें लगता है कि वर्ल्ड में भी मजा आएगा, वर्ल्ड विल मेक अस हैप्पी, दिस वर्ल्ड कैन मेक अस हैप्पी, माय फैमिली कैन मेक अस हैप्पी, माय बैंक बैलेंस कैन हेल्प मी परचेस हैप्पीनेस, माय टंग विल मेक मी हैप्पी, माय legs will make me happy, by having sex I will derive happiness. Unless we have these conceptions, one has to become completely frustrated in order to give up this, or one may understand it by the word of scripture and make progress towards spiritual advancement. So the second one is easy. If we become too much frustrated by making all efforts to enjoy, using all our capacity, and if it gets frustrated towards the end of our life, there is very less possibility for us to be able to take up bhakti. So the process of bhakti will not be there, because our mind will be filled with so much frustration that the bhakti will not happen, even though the facility will be available even that time. So happiness and distress are the how to maintain equanimity in the equipoise in happiness, that Prabhupada talk about, how to be equipoised in both happiness and distress. So one should learn to tolerate, as Bhagavad Gita tells, and beginning Master Spashastu Kanteya Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agama Ipaina Nityas Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. So Prabhupada, Krishna says you tolerate happiness also need to be tolerated. Distress also need to be tolerated. So, and he says, as long as we are they are like waves in ocean. As long as you are in the ocean, they will be there. So you tolerate both. Desirable, when you get something desirable, you become happy. When you get something undesirable, you become unhappy. So, but how to reach a stage where we can remain equal in both? Prabhupada explains further in the purport that we have to practice unbreakable devotional service. Unbreakable means every day. Tesham satata yuktanam ananya chetaha satatam. So satata word is unbreakable, indicative of unbreakability of devotional service. Without deviation. Without deviation means आज ये कर लिया, कल साई बाबा का कर लिया, कल गणेश जी का कर लिया, परसों दुर्गा देवी का कर लिया, परसों शिव जी का कर लिया. this is multiple branch, many branch. Devotional service will not lead to any success. Bahushakha hi anantascha will not lead one to success. क्या चाहिए? व्यावसायिक बुद्धि, single pointed focus without deviation one has to have. And what should one do? One should perform 9 processes of devotional service led by chanting, worship, chanting, hearing, Shravana, Kirtana, Vishnu Smarana, Pada Sevana, Dasyare, Pujana, Sakhijana, Atma Nivedana. These are all 9 processes of bhakti, anga of bhakti, as described in the last verse of 9th chapter. 9th chapter also says that Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto, that verse is also there. There also some of these are covered. The last slide before we move to the summary. The to think oneself God is most puffed up. So what is towards the end of this purport? It's a very long purport. We have just seen one purport of this 5 verses, which are combined by Prabhupada to give one purport, single purport for all the 5 verses. It's very longish purport, and all of you are advised to read this particular purport. So what is the problem? Ishvara aham bhogi. That is a problem. This verse comes in the 16th chapter, I believe. But this is the problem, that once start thinking that they are the enjoyer and they are supposed to get all the facilities for enjoyment. Now this is competing with God. Now this is a competition with God, and this is a problem. Although the living entity is always being kicked by the stringent laws of material nature, he still think I'm God because of ignorance. The beginning of knowledge, therefore, is Atmavita, Amanitva or humility. One should be humble and know that he is subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Due to rebellion against the Supreme Lord, one becomes subordinate to material nature. One must know and be convinced of this truth. Same point Prabhupada is reiterating. One should be convinced that he is not Supreme God. He is subordinate to God. He is dependent on God. He must remain humble to God. He must show gratitude to God. And if he does it in a loving way, that's called bhakti. And then God reciprocates with him as well. So this way, let's conclude that right knowledge must be cultivated. Now, this right knowledge, as we've seen, this is knowledge, and everything else is not knowledge. Now, is not taught in universities. Now, starts with knowledge of herself. The Jiva, uh, three Tattvatraya, it is called. 3 tattvas. Jiv, Jagat, Jagadish. Jiva is the knowledge of the self. Jagat, more knowledge about the material nature. And Jagadish is knowledge about the super soul. That this chapter onwards, Krishna will explain how interaction between these material world, world and in the material world, and interaction of all these 3 elements, how will this culminates into bhakti. So towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, which again culminates with bhakti. In 18th chapter, Krishna recommends bhakti after having going through the entire discussion of this topic. So list of knowledge presented by Krishna starts from basic humility, goes on to knowing about the absolute truth, knowledge of the absolute truth, that is knowledge about Krishna. And these are not taught in any university. Hence, we must approach devotees and learn from them humbly. That's why devotees association is so important. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. They are the 3 sources from which we can learn this knowledge. So the facility for hearing and chanting. Chanting happens in the morning, and ideally it should happen in the morning. And the reading sessions of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita happens in the evening from 8:30 p.m. onwards. Chanting starts at 4:45 a.m. onwards, goes on till 7:30. So all of you are requested to participate in your respective groups for hearing and chanting, so that we can perform unbreakable bhakti. And without any deviation also. So these 2 qualities are critical. So we'll stop here. We'll see if anybody has any questions. We can deal with those.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Vikas Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Prabhuji. So actually, the thing you mentioned that this is the actual knowledge. So this has been elaborated, and rather with evidences you elaborated that whatever were our ultrasounds or our gynecologists are just evolving in the knowledge. It is there just thousands of years ago also. That how the formation of the fetus takes place in the womb and everything. So it doesn't require means you are putting evidences on the those aspects which are even scientifically not still proven by the science. So there is no. You have rightly mentioned in that there is no use of running behind the knowledge, the materialistic knowledge or academic knowledge more. That can be just that can just remain to the survival. To my understanding, I could understand this that just having the tons of degrees and just trying to be famous with those degrees is of no use. Rather, we should try to start investing time in the reading scriptures, and from there we can understand what is the actual knowledge, and that can be implemented. And this is because of the your association we could get to know this in very intense detail, and that is what is the association of devotee. I could understand that on each and every aspect the devotee emphasizes so much, and with so much of scriptural evidences that there is no doubt left in not performing. I would just request your mercy that so that whatever knowledge you have given that can be implemented for the session. That can be implemented to the practical level. Means I personally can start implementing to it the to 100% level. Means though not immediately, but by your mercy gradually. Thank you very much for the such a reliable and wonderful session, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your comments. And yes, you're right. The development of fetus, those whatever the descriptions, those comes in Bhagavatam, have been proven recently by obviously because of the development of science. We are able to now discover that this is how it happens. However, they accepted that portion, but then they rejected that the soul can offer prayer. They can't understand how soul can offer prayer, but soul does offer prayers and become is praying to Lord. And then all those beautiful prayers that we see, these are prayers of a soul who is suffering. And then now he's not blaming Lord for giving him suffering, but he's saying this is befitting. This is well deserved. This is what I deserve. I should have got this. So hopefully, eventually, science will also understand that the soul can pray also in the womb. Thank you so much for your comment, Shankaranand Prabhuji. Yeah, we can go to take some questions. Couple of questions from Shankaranand Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ, जैसे आपने बोला सततम मम युक्ता नाम, मतलब सतत भगवान का याद करो और मतलब उनके ऊपर किसी एक पे फोकस करो, न कि आज गणेश जी कल शंकर जी। और प्रभु जी, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि जैसे नियर बाय कोई टेम्पल है घर के नियर बाय, अगर मैं वहां पे जल चढ़ाता हूँ या जाके उनको प्रे करता हूँ कि हे प्रभु, जो मेरे इष्ट देव हैं और जो मेरे इष्ट आराध्य हैं, मेरे को उनकी भक्ति में मेरी प्रगति करें, तो ये भी क्या गलत है प्रभु जी?
ये गलत नहीं है, but you are taking dependence, creating a dependency on that can become a problem. That become a problem for your bhakti. Suppose demigods are also serving Krishna. Now they are not taking you away from Krishna, but they are also in service of Krishna. Now anybody who has been where Krishna is not available, there you can probably think of going to a demigod and offering jal to him and saying that give me devotion for Krishna. But Krishna is available everywhere. When you learn Bhagavad Gita, you know that jal that you want to offer to demigod, also Krishna is a taste in that jal when you drink it. Rasaham apsu kaunteya. So that taste in the jal is Krishna. So Krishna is so if you have the right mindset, you will learn that, you'll understand that there is where Krishna is missing, there's nothing like this. There's no place in this material world where you cannot think of Krishna. So going to demigod asking for a benediction of bhakti is also could lead to a problem. At an initial level we may do this, but eventually we need not do it, because how did Advaita Acharya called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to appear? He simply sat on the bank of Ganges and offering tulsi leaves and Ganga water, and he was praying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and then he said, when they met, then he said, uh, there is no avatar. The Advaita Acharya is also asking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, ki there is nothing mentioned in the Shastra that there is an avatar has to happen now. How do you claim yourself to be an avatar? And then he says, you called me, that therefore I have come. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying to Advaita Acharya that you requested me to come. You sat on the bank of Ganges, and with tulsi leaves and Ganga water, you are offering continuously. You are praying so frivolously. Therefore, I have come. Now you don't want to talk to me. You are questioning me. So there is no way we can be away from Krishna. Where we cannot remember Krishna, there is no place on this planet or in any other planet where we cannot think of Krishna. Seeing things around us, we cannot think of Krishna. So that's where we should be aware of the vibhutis of Lord, vibhutis of Krishna. And then looking everywhere, looking at the sun, you will remember Krishna. That light from sun comes from Krishna. Looking at moon, you'll remember Krishna. Eating foodstuff, vegetable can be very tasty, because Krishna says, I put taste in that vegetable. So everywhere there is Krishna. And so if we have in right knowledge, it will be hard for us not to think of Krishna. But when we are not in the right knowledge, when we are learning in the learning phase, we may take shelter of this kind of a practice. At times, this practice could come even by tradition. Because of family tradition, we are unable to give up because of our family members insisting. There we may do something like this, but again, this is not required. You can pray to the demigods giving you devotional service, and they can give, like Lord Shiva can give you devotional service. If you, but there's no need when you can go to Krishna. Why? Because he also has to break his meditation. He's also meditating on Krishna. He has to, you create a disturbance for him also, that he has to now look at you asking, and then again you ask for benediction for cultivating remembrance of Krishna, that he may give. But why you're disturbing a devotee who is meditating on Lord also, who is serving Lord also? So when we have direct access to Krishna, we need not really worry about others. This is how I will explain. Chandramohan Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Dhanyawad Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shakarandra.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, my question was that, like, every child, when he is in the mother's womb, they all come to know of their past lives, that the reason why they have come, and they talk to Krishna that, okay, I accept this suffering, or does it happen to a select few people? This is question number one. Question number two, I mean, lot of classes before you told, when we breathe our last, you see your entire life as a film. So is that confined to only this life, or even during death, I see all my lives as a film?
So the first question also, I think in the purport, in the translation, one of the translation, that if the child is fortunate enough, he can remember. So can everybody remember? Everybody can have capacity to remember. But does everybody necessarily has to? It's not a conveyor belt kind of a situation. Conveyor belt, you can think of a factory where say Parle glucose biscuits are produced. A biscuit enters the wheat flour enters, and the biscuits are packed. Biscuits are coming out from the other end. One end of the factory, the wheat flour and ghee is poured, and then the other end of the factory, the packed biscuits are coming up. Biscuit packets are coming out. Now, in this process, it's a conveyor belt kind of a process where everything identical happens. Everything, every batch will go through the same processes.
Okay.
Every pack of biscuits which come out of the at the other end would have gone through the exactly same processes throughout the factory. Now there will be individuality, but this is not a factory, that kind of a situation. Not every fortunate souls will remember. Now, of who can be fortunate, who can still be misfortunate? Yes, that could be a deeper subject of study. We can go through the purports of Srila Prabhupada and we can understand. But to, in summary, fortunate souls can remember. A soul, people can't. A soul, and you can imagine that today people, there could be many people uh, who would have given up their bodies, who would have taken birth, lived a sinful life and would have given up their bodies without even hearing one Hare Krishna Mahamantra chant anywhere in the, not that they chanted, but even hearing, not seen cover page of Bhagavad Gita, how it looks like. There could be many such people who would have been there in the world today, or in India, even in India today. So are they less fortunate? Yes, but do they have a, can they have capacity? Yes, they have capacity. Everybody has equal opportunity to become Krishna conscious, but not everybody is able to overcome their desires and temptations to be able to accept the Krishna consciousness, because Krishna consciousness, accepting Krishna consciousness requires some basic level of austerity and penance.
Okay.
Getting up in the morning requires austerity. There are so many reasons why we should sleep till 8 a.m. And but for Krishna, we understand, and we do it for love of Krishna. We do it because we love Krishna. We want to show our love for Krishna. So we get up in the morning and try and chant all our rounds in the morning. So so the first question is, everybody can remember, but everybody need not remember.
Okay.
Because it's not a conveyor belt kind of a process. Also, the moment of death, the entire lifespan is can appear. When we say entire lifespan, not all, probably the whole major events that probably once would have experienced in one's own life will appear, but this will be restricted to one's own life only. It's unlikely that we'll get images from our previous life, because the previous life images can be seen only, even those which are proven cases of reincarnation. For them also, they the sights or the experiences were there till the age of 6, 7, 8, 10 at the most. Eventually they get become weaker and they get erased, and that's required for our functioning. It's like when you move from one body to another, the death is a traumatic condition that one goes through. It's a traumatic experience that one goes through, and that actually help you format our hard disk, if I may say so, completely, and you start as if it is new. Now some people could retain some glimpses of some sites of previous life, and that depends on their attachment with their previous attachments. It could be the traumatic death that could have occurred. Like one famous story of a pilot, he was killed. The Japanese, he was hit by a missile from Japan. They were trying to bomb Japan on the Second World War, and his plane got hit by a missile. And then his co-pilot survived, but this pilot died. Now this was a traumatic death incident. Now, and he was able to remember. Now, depending on his attachment to his body, his nation, his parents, or whatever, there could be multiple factors which could contribute to a person, because there are many soldiers who die in the war. Not everybody remember in their next life that they were soldiers and they fought so and so war and so on and so forth. So the incidences exist, and what is the possibility that there is equal possibility for everybody to remember, but generally they are erased. Generally they are erased by Krishna's arrangement, and unless wherever those are very traumatic situations, in those conditions, those previous days have occurred, people are able to recall those also for a brief period in the next birth. But eventually those are also erased so that they can function in their current lifetime effectively. So not entirely, not again, it's not a, this is also not a conveyor belt kind of a process that now the moment of death has come. Now we are Yamdut come and switch on the movie, see what you have done in this lifetime, and accordingly we are going to pull you out. So it all may not happen in that sequence. But yes, many fortunate for souls will be able to recall their past, their current lifetime in a very brief kind of a session that they may that might get arranged by Lord's mercy.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just one small question. Even great devotees in the past, we have seen in the Jagannath story and in a lot of stories of Krishna, when you worship Krishna in a particular way and he comes in a disguise, you are not able to recognize him. So the lesser mortals like us, when we pray to Krishna and if he gives us a surprise, how do we recognize Krishna?
So we don't need to because he's sending devotees, sending message to you to join session, Bhagavad Gita session, requesting you to come to temple. Now this is Krishna's arrangement. It's not that devotee has a credit anything for him.
Yeah.
It's not for devotees to credit. So you accept it as Krishna's mercy and become more commit yourself more to Krishna. If you can do that, that is all what he wants. He does not his interest is not to show you magic so that you become committed to Krishna. Like Duryodhan saw Krishna Vishwarup Darshan in Hastinapur assembly, but he's thought it's some trick he's trying to show. Like at that time, many warriors were there, many great warriors were there. They could do multiple things, many magnificent things. So he said this is probably one of the trick that he's trying to play. And he didn't care. It had no effect on him. But the same Vishwarup Darshan, when Arjuna saw, Arjuna was scared. Arjuna was initially wonderstruck, and then he became scared. And then even Sanjay became a devotee just by seeing that, just by hearing the whole message. But Dhritarashtra, who was also experiencing it through Sanjay, he had no effect. So we have to commit ourselves more to Krishna, and to do that, this is mercy of Krishna which comes to us through devotees. We one of the session we said we should count our blessings. A devotee sending message is also a blessing. We don't value it enough right now today, but imagine what the biggest misfortune for us is devotees giving up on us. ये नहीं करेंगे, ये birth में तो शायद नहीं करेंगे. And that is the biggest misfortune. Not that you losing job or somebody losing home loan. That is not misfortune. This is biggest misfortune, that devotees giving up on us. So that should not happen. So this is mercy of Krishna. Why is devotee telling us? And devotees, Krishna's mercy can be manifested in so many other ways, that you have good health, that is Krishna's mercy. You have good intelligence, that is Krishna's mercy. You have good family, that is Krishna's mercy. You have a bank balance. Everything is, whatever you have, you consider today you have, is given by Krishna. So make a list of all that and say Krishna every day, read it out and say thanks to Krishna every day. And then you will see Krishna everywhere. How can you survive without Krishna? Your ability to breathe, inhale oxygen is Krishna's ability. Your ability to lift weight is Krishna's ability. Your ability to speak is Krishna's ability. Krishna has given this ability. That's why the day this is withdrawn, you will not be able to speak. You will not be able to breathe oxygen, even though if oxygen tubes are put inside your nose. So you will not be able to digest anything, even if you are given the best quality food. The day those abilities are withdrawn, so you see Krishna's mercy everywhere. And why to see Krishna? There's no need for us to see Krishna. This is Krishna. What else is there? So that is how we should understand. And then when we get this understanding, then our gratitude towards Krishna increases. And then with that gratitude can come commitment. Without gratitude, no commitment. जैसे हम जॉब करते हैं तो we have a gratitude towards our boss that we get a salary at the end of the month. तो हमारी commitment होती है. Every day morning I think of going to office and working whatever my boss tell me to work. But if lose that gratitude, if there is no gratitude, then there will be no commitment.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Harish Prabhuji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My question is slightly different. Basically, I see there is a contradiction what we have been talking, and we have been pursuing the Krishna consciousness, and the world is moving around, and then there are people who are doing a lot of research. So what we are talking about is there is knowledge, is scientific knowledge or medicine knowledge or those kind of things. See, ultimately, these are also blessings of God, Krishna, that some people are having so much intelligence that they can do so much research to work on the various illnesses, sicknesses of people, and invent some medicines to reduce the pain and suffering of people. So I see that probably there are thousands of chapters of God's creation, and probably we may be still on chapter one, but the chapter reading of the chapter has to continue, because I feel that and the need, hierarchical need, if after physiological needs are satisfied, if we start only spiritual, in the development of the world, the development of scientific research, all those things will become sort of, meaningless, or probably we will not have any progress. See, ultimately, God has only created human being. He has only given this thought process of ego, self-esteem, self-realization, intelligence, knowledge. So I'm still confused that, I mean, how are we
Yeah,
saying
understood.
that
Yeah. So
we should?
yeah. So so the as yeah, as the king of a flourishing kingdom, all the previous kings like Rishabh Dev example that we spoke about today, Yudhishthir Maharaj example we speak often, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and all these kings, even all these great kings, even King Parikshit, and so all these kings had a very, very flourishing kingdom. Lord Ram had a flourishing kingdom himself. So all these kings, now think of these kings as the rulers of this world, and these kings had provided the best of facilities for their citizens, not to engage in sense enjoyment, but to worshipping Vishnu, take up the worship of Vishnu. So as soon as your needs are fulfilled, your focus, as long as the focus of all your development is to make the population of this your kingdom Krishna conscious in a better way, everything to that cause, whatever is required, that can be done. Whatever the medicine, for example, you spoke about, that whatever the new inventions that we bring to enhance the lifetime of people will lead those people to live longer and incur more sin and create a bigger misfortune for themselves. So any facility uh, which help us, any research which help us, with research using the intelligence given by Krishna, can be used to prove the existence of Krishna, prove the greatness of Krishna, prove that when you research on the grass and flowers, and how systematically, how beautiful arrangement of a flower is, you should conclude it by saying that how Krishna is great. If that is the objective, to prove greatness of Krishna, you can analyze any element of nature, and you can appreciate Krishna by making for those such wonderful arrangements being made. That could be a proper service to Krishna. However, the today's world researchers are not researching to prove Krishna's greatness. They are mostly unaware of Krishna's existence, and even if they may attribute it to some unknown god, there the appreciation, it's the replacement. The scientists who discover a phenomena actually replace himself as a god, or represent himself as a god, just for discovering something which has been created by someone else. So they're not prepared to give due credit to Krishna, who is the creator. Now, so this is the problem. So problem is not with necessarily the research that we do. Like devotees, when they fall sick, that's a problem at a material level. Now, devotee could be fully dependent on Krishna, but when he faces a material problem, he also try to search for a material solution. So he also take up to the medicine. It could go to an Ayurvedic store. It could be, and depending on the access available, he can go to an Ayurvedic shop or a doctor or a allopathy doctor, and he will try to get back to his health so that once he become fit, he can continue serving Krishna in better way, because that's his objective. That's how he's thinking. So all the net result of all our effort should be to serve Krishna. If we are able to do that by scientific research, then there is an alignment, there is no contradiction. If we are trying to increase the facility for eating, mating, sleeping, defending only by eliminating Krishna from this discussion, then more the research, more the sins. It's like more the facilities created for sense enjoyment will lead people to deeper situations from where the returning to Krishna can become very, very difficult. So the more such facilities created and presented, further everybody is taking they are taking them away from Krishna further, and their path of returning back to Krishna becomes tougher. So from a scientist's point of view, yes, it's and on one hand, you may say that all those inventions are improving the quality of our life. And to that extent, if earlier I probably, now this is changing the standard. I'm having a home with an air conditioner, and am I using having given the facility, what I do next with that facility becomes critical. Now that question is most critical question. So if having given a facility, if I use it for sense gratification, eating, mating, sleeping, defending only, then that is a misuse of facility, and I'll be incurring sinful reactions for myself. But if I use this facility for worshipping Krishna, for engaging myself in devotional service, then I am properly utilizing that facility. So facility always remains a tool. Facility always remains like a tool. What we do with that becomes that's most critical. And what we do with facility given to us depends on our values and our character that we have cultivated. What is the and for this to happen, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita becomes critical. So once we have knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, our values and characters will be correct, and then we will be able to utilize this facility for serving Krishna.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but then onus of positive way of using the facilities or features or medicine advances or research and showing a gratitude to Lord Krishna is onus is on the user of those this thing. But talking about the knowledge and research and the scientist, I mean, see, as a human body also, if you see, till now also we don't know. I mean, it's such a fantastic synchronized system. I mean, we have not been able to create a human being with all those kind of systems which are working so perfectly. So my question is that it should happen. I mean, the people should go in the Krishna consciousness and understanding and gratitude, showing gratitude to God. But the scientific research, probably we may be very small efforts in understanding the creation of God. I mean, we are not even, that's what I'm saying, even 1% of what God's creation is. But then that particular thing is knowledge or the sense of achievement is again given by Lord Krishna only for people to work on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I understand. I mean, ultimately, both the things have to work together. I mean, it cannot happen that everybody will go for only Krishna consciousness and spiritual life, and it will not happen that people should go only for research and forget about the Lord Krishna. both things have to work together, or both things have to work parallel at the same time, without forgetting the blessings of Lord Krishna in giving that intelligence to understand, in giving that knowledge, in giving that sort of, acknowledging his greatness in all this research and everything.
Right. So
I understood your reply.
yeah, yeah.
The thing
So
is,
the
I was
point
not
is, I'm saying that if a scientist science shouldn't replace God. That's the whole point.
yeah.
So,
That is fully understood.
Scientist, as a scientist, if I'm able to understand and explain the natural phenomena better, or whatever is, I'm able to discover some medicine because of which I'm able to cure some patient, some disease better, I should again, I should be thankful to Krishna for that. As a scientist also, I should be thankful to Krishna, and as a general population, they should look at it as a mercy of Krishna. Had it not been the case, the people, nobody would have died. Nobody would have, died. There probably could have been a medicine for every disease, but people are still dying. The scientists are also dying. So those who have had done biggest medical inventions are also eventually dying of some of the other diseases. So the hand of Krishna exists everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
And it's up to us as to whether to be ignorant of it or to be aware of it and act accordingly.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for a wonderful question. So let me see if any questions are there.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
With your permission, can I add to the question Harish Prabhuji just asked?
Yes, Prabhuji. Please go ahead.
So it is like in one of the canto, I just forgot the reference, exact reference, wherein Narottam Prabhuji was just reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam session that wherein Srila Prabhupada writes that our scientists have incurred so much of expenditure in sending this spacecraft in the space to find out the new like Mars or the moon or something else, this and that. So in that, the whole Earth can be fed. Prabhupada writes that hundreds of times or so many times. So one thing is that, but this is because of only that we are not accepting what is written in scripture. Because since scriptures have already given that there are 14 planetary system and everything has got this much of dimension. But since we are not accepting that and we are trying to discover it at our own, so we are just incurring the nonsensical expenditure on that. That is not the development altogether. One. Secondly, if we see to it that in recent 15-20 years or so, the medical ailments, they have increased rather on diminishing part, they were increased. Because if we see that there are so many cancer patients in the today's society, and that is because of we have got the pizza, burgers, and so many fast food, which contains so many food ingredients which are not nutritious. So if we call this as development, so this is not the development rather. And again comes the development of infrastructure. So we are destroying the nature and we are trying to develop good infrastructure. In my personal opinion, at least, I don't find it kind of a development. So science is that is fine that it is discovering what Krishna has already given, but it is not a kind of developing in the sense that wherein it is not causing ill effect to other society at large also. So to call that science is developing, and if we just remain dependent on Krishna, that will hamper that development. I don't find it very logical argument to say, because it is already, I mean, science is only discovering what is already there. So in discovery, there is nothing as such a kind of development. It is better that we increase our faith on scripture and accept the scripture as it is, and then there won't be any issue altogether, and science means our development will remain there still. Thank you very much.
So in this same chapter, Roji, there is a 9th verse which speaks about Indriyartheshu Vairagyam Manang Ahankara Evacha Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhir Dukkha doshanudarshanam. So what it basically says that this is the real problem. If you, no matter how much scientific research we may end up doing, we will never be able to solve the problem of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. And as long as you're not doing it, everything else you're doing is for sense gratification, that Indriyartheshu. Everything directed towards this is devotional service. So that's how the differentiation can be, that whatever we are doing, but as a scientist, it's difficult to think that I'm doing this. The scientist to have a background of Krishna consciousness, and when he's working on the scientific project, and after concluding, getting a discovery done and giving credit to Krishna, we have not seen or heard of any scientist doing that, except for a few quotes from some scientists. But in the recent times, we don't think, even when the COVID vaccine was found, whatever that vaccine was discovered, nobody thank God for this, for giving them intelligence and the facility to do research and come up with this vaccine, and by which they are trying to save the world. But Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi they are the real problems of life. And no vaccine, there's no vaccine for this except for attaining Krishna. Once you attain Krishna, aprapyamma nivartante mrityu samsara vartmanim. That if you not attain Krishna, you will come back in this world. And so this is the fundamental position that Krishna has presented. Everything else that you do for your own benefit, it's fine. It's not bad. You may think that you're helping the humanity, but by helping humanity to live longer and incur more sin is also a problem. And anyway, you will not be able to help them live beyond the time allotted to them, and you cannot kill them also before the time expires. So what really are we achieving? We are life-saving drug have not saved so many people, and so many people have survived without drug. Last 2 years have taught us all this. So scientists can have a role, but if they will not be able to show gratitude to Krishna, they will be misled themselves, and they will mislead the whole population, whole society who follow them. So that's the point that we understand.
Very true, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for emphasizing.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare
So
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Swapnil Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, first of all, thank you very much. Your sessions are very enlightening, and even the devotees' interaction with you and your responses are wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm not putting any question, but after listening to all the devotees and the responses, what I understand, maybe you can tell me that my understanding is correct. I think the best part of the devotee is to submit or be submissive to and understand our supreme power, our supreme Lord Krishna. And once we are submissive, automatically I believe we will come out of all the dilemmas what we have, and the responses will come automatically. And the point is, whole exercise is how much submissive we can be to Lord Krishna, and being a conscious towards the ultimate goal of our life, and come out of this Maya and or this materialistic. Whereas coming to the science, I understand as Maya is nothing but creation of Krishna itself or Vishnu. Same way, science is also another tool which God has created, and with that science we are able to live a life. And where science doesn't understand, there we come out that it's all God who has the power to create and make us understand how do we take it up. So this is what I feel. Maybe you can tell me that probably I'm on the right path of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So the inexplainability for the scientists, the God is not the explanation for that. कि जो कुछ inexplainable है, attributed to God. That is a wrong way of looking at God. So there's a beautiful verse in the 3rd chapter, and which says that ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate prakrute kriyamani gune karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma, ahankar say because of ahankar, the ego, self ego, vimudhatma, the foolish soul, think himself as the doer. Now, coming back to how you started describing the understanding, that's right. So we have to understand that we are not the only doer. In the Karmanye Vadikaraste verse 2.47 also, Krishna says that Karmanye Vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachanam ma karma phala heturbhur mate sangostva akarmani. Again, he says you should doing your duty, acting is your right. Now, we don't karmanyava, you have a right to perform action. The translation goes like saying that you have a right to perform action. Generally, we think we have a right for result. Action, whether we do action or not, we have a right for result. But Krishna says the other way around. You have a right to perform action, but you are not entitled for the result. Generally, our understanding is the other way around, that we should be entitled for our results, and we should not have action should be optional to us. Whether we do action or not, we should get the result. I should get salary whether I work wholeheartedly or I don't work properly. I should still get the same salary. So this is our understanding. And why this is so? Because Krishna says you are not the only doer. Kartaham iti manyate is like is that you think yourself as the doer. This is a problem. When you come to understand that you are not the only doer, which means Krishna is sanctioning also. Krishna is also doing something for us to get any fruit further. Then you are, then that is the time onwards only you can become humble. Because as long as I think that I am only the doer, whatever the fruit I'm getting, good, bad, ugly, if it is produced only by my effort, my intelligence, my hard work, then that humility will never be there. There is no question of humility. Then I become ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. I'm thinking I am the doer. I am doing it. Agar ye nahi hua, to ye mere karan nahi hua. I am useless. So I'll go and commit suicide. So the student committing suicide, think what they must be going through. They are thinking it is they who failed. They are the failures. That's why they take such a drastic step of committing suicide. But they were never a failure. Neither they were responsible for success. Anybody who comes first also he comes first because it is sanctioned by Krishna. Now, in both situations, when we forget Krishna's role, Krishna's sanctioning role in the fruit, that whatever follow that we get, if we forget Krishna, then we become ahankara vimudhatma. If we become ahankari, obviously we are not submissive. We are not humble towards Krishna. Now Krishna says this is the starting point. If we cannot then have gratitude for Krishna. If we are not submissive to Krishna, we are not having gratitude towards Krishna. That's why when become ahankara, and then our progress on spiritual path get blocked. Now, this is the first thing that we have to open. This first window of opportunity for spiritual growth happens when we come to this basic understanding that we are not the only doer. And Krishna has to sanction whatever fruit I may get. I may do all my hard work. I may get whatever salary I may get. Krishna is the cause for that. And whatever actions I'm performing, whatever fruits I'm getting, they are all sanctioned by Krishna. If he doesn't sanction, it will not come to me. So question is then, which action should I perform? If I'm trying to murder somebody and steal somebody's money, are these also actions sanctioned by Krishna? Because no, this is called prakrute grimanani. If I have nurtured these tendencies for lifetime after lifetime, I will have those inclinations. Inclinations means वो drives आएंगे मुझे अंदर से कि चोरी करो, इसको मारो, इसको पीटो, इसको खून कर दो, या ये कर दो, वो कर दो. These are all bad actions के triggers मुझे past activity से आएंगे. So and how is that happen? That happens because of the prakriti kriyamanani, because this is driven by the nature. These are modes of material nature. They are driving me from within to go and murder somebody. Does it mean material nature also belongs to Krishna, or does it mean Krishna is giving me a message that go and murder that person? No, these have happened. These are the results of my past indulgences. ये past में मैंने ये किया था, अभी इसके लिए ये मुझे urges आ रहे हैं कि do similar things. But what should I do then? I should take shelter of scriptural instructions. I should act according to the instructions given by Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, devotee instructions or scriptural instructions. Then when I act according to the scriptures, and whatever fruits I get, follow I get, there also I should know that this is sanctioned by Krishna. Whatever good, bad, ugly fruits I'm getting, those are all sanctioned by Krishna. So I should accept them. I should accept them. I should try to improve whatever I can, and I should tolerate if there is something distressful that is served to me. Some disease, I get infected by some disease, I get infected, I suffer some financial loss, whatever the situation, the fruit that is given to me, I should know that this is a result of my actions as well as Krishna's actions. As long as my actions are not in contradiction with scriptures, then it is sanctioned by Krishna. What else? There's nothing. Then I just have to accept it, mitigate it to the extent I can, and tolerate it, and move on in devotional service. But this fundamental understanding if we have this fundamental understanding, then we can be submissive towards Krishna, and then we can progress from there onwards towards Krishna. If we get this wrong, our path to devotional service get blocked. So that's the fundamental understanding. From there onwards, I'll be able to, the moment I recognize Krishna's role in my life, it's easy for me to then express gratitude for Krishna. But if I fail there in the foundational step, then the gratitude towards Krishna will not come. Then the appreciation of Krishna's mercy on me will not happen. And then also I will not be able to develop any love for Krishna. I'll probably at the most treat him like an order supplier, that you wanted this, you got this, you made God work for you. It will just increase your puffed up, make you more puffed up, or increase your ignorance and arrogance more, ahankar more. It will all work in the wrong way. So this is a fundamental understanding, is to understand Krishna's role in our life, and act according to the scriptures, accept the fruit as a sanction by Krishna and the result of sanction, our own effort plus sanction by Krishna, and then express gratitude towards whatever we have, and cultivate bhakti continuously. These are the steps that we have to follow.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Prabhuji, you mean to say when we are in bhakti and we are moving towards Krishna consciousness, there should not be any dilemmas with us, that we should come out of all dilemmas, and then automatically we will be in a submissive mode. So correct. That should I understand that?
Yeah. So dilemmas can be of multiple types. If dilemmas are that whether the result that you are getting is should you consider at some stage, if you feel that this is happened because of you alone, then that's a wrong dilemma to have, because there's nothing that you can do alone without sanction of Krishna. So we see, so that dilemma is a correction, that fundamental correction that you need to make, and in understanding. Any other type of dilemma could be there, whether Krishna exists, or so all the dilemmas of any kind can be sorted out, and they will keep popping up also. There could be dilemmas, there could be doubts. So they can, even after you make a start towards devotional service, they still can come later also, at later stage also they can be there. So as your job, you should be getting those dilemmas resolved as early as they can. as soon as they come, you should raise it with devotees and try and get those resolved as much as possible, as fast as possible. So, and so that, but here what we recommend everyone is not to make bhakti conditional to those resolutions. What it mean by, unless those are resolved, I'll stop chanting. Unless those are resolved, I'll stop attending classes. Unless those are resolved, I'll stop offering food to Krishna. Bhakti is a matter of love also. That loving relationship, in loving relationship, we may say a mother will feed her child no matter on the day when he study, on the day when he doesn't study, on the way he does some mischief, on the day she will feed him all the days. The father will let child sleep in the same home all the days. Doesn't say that you go out. He may say that, but ultimately he will bring him back. So our bhakti should not be conditional to those dilemmas, but as soon as those are there, those will come because of various reasons. They may come, but as soon as they come, you should get those resolved and keep moving forward. Should make bhakti conditional to those resolutions.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So no more questions. Dwarkanath Prabhu has asked one question, but I don't see him, so I can respond to him later. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for staying back, and it's quite late. So we'll continue with the rest of the chapter 13. It's a very interesting chapter. Considered to be one of the most difficult chapters to comprehend. So I'll try and make my best effort to make it as easy as possible for all of us to learn. And we'll meet next Sunday with the subsequent verses of this chapter. Hare Krishna. Have a safe week ahead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Dhanwad,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Most enlightened.
Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, and thank you to all the devotees also who asked many questions. So our doubts also got cleared. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.